Hello, this is Blake Angelos at Subaru with 18 at the Yamaha area here, and I am pleased to interview Christian Halton of Sample Robot. So welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Absolutely. Um, so Christian, first of all, before we get into Sample Robot and what it does and what it's about, because it's really cool. It's really cool what it does. I just kind of wanted to get a little bit about your background. I know that you've done film composing and things like that. But so, are you a trained musician? Did you start kind of as a musician before you got into programming? And
Yeah, I started listening to soundtracks very early on. So I can remember having my Empire Strikes Back soundtrack by John Williams on a tape recording, and I listened to it over and over again, but I couldn't really operate the tape recorder, so I sometimes pressed the recording button, so I had these black holes on my tape after a while. So I listened to the music and always had this. Even now when I listen to the soundtrack, I still have these empty parts of the recording that I listen to in my head. So and then it's pretty much I started my first film music at the age of 16 or 17.
Oh, wow.
So and that was more like an autodidactic way of doing things. So there was no one teaching me how to do it, and I just got into it by learning it to really seeing the picture and trying to synchronize at that time it was an Atari ST computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I learned how to synchronize my clicking speed with the mouse to the picture. So I watched the cut and I said, okay, it's like cut, and then I have to click so that I have everything in sync.
Old school.
Old school.
Very old school.
So there.
So you started doing kind of film stuff in Germany,
Right.
first, and then I guess the natural progression maybe to move to California and try to live there. And you did that, right?
Yes, I had the chance. I studied at the Film Academy in Germany, where they have a special course. It's called Film Music and Sound Design. So I applied for that at an pretty late age compared to the other students. So and they gave me the chance to do it. And after my studies, there was an exchange program at the UCLA, so you could
film school.
Yeah, at the film school. So that was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks of training there, and we had the chance to drive or to fly there and to really talk to all the people around there, and that was great fun, and that was the possibility that gave us the school. So everything was paid, the flight was paid, and we had a nice apartment with a jacuzzi and everything. So
California style.
California, and so that was a lot of fun.
So I know that somehow you got to work with Hans Zimmer. Then is this how you kind of got into?
Yes, that's there was a thing. The school it said you have to apply for an internship somehow after this course. So that was kind of recommended to do that, and so I asked. A guy that I know at the Film Academy, if he knows other guys in California, and he recommended me to Henning Lohner, who was working with Hans Zimmer in his studio. So I sent him an email, and somehow we started the conversation, and it was fun. Yes.
Yeah, I bet you learned a lot. Definitely.
Oh yes,
Tons of stuff.
Yes.
So my understanding is that the original idea for Sample Robot sort of came from this experience. Is that right?
You're absolutely right. So I saw how Hans was organizing his libraries, and a guy called Bart Hendrickson, very nice guy at that time he worked for Hans. and doing all the libraries, doing all the sampling, and I learned a lot from him how to work with samples and how the approach was, and so that was really the key thing to start the first flow of energy for the project Sample Robot.
So yeah, now we can kind of moving to now we have Sample Robot Pro, and we have the montage version. The thing that's really interesting, in fact, I had dinner with Richard Devine last night.
Yes.
He didn't really know about it, and I explained basically how it works. And I love the fact that you have the wizard thing, and you set it up, you give it its parameters, and you just go, and it goes. He was just like, wow, that's really cool. I can really see how that can be useful. Anything that has, essentially, it's anything that you have MIDI and audio. You have to have those two things. But
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is you set up a wizard. You give it its range, how many samples per note, just some things, and then when you hit go, it triggers the MIDI note, and then the audio goes through the audio interface, makes the sample, does all the looping, everything, crossfading next.
Right.
That's correct, yeah?
That's correct, and even more, you can set up a full list of automated program changes so that you can sample one sound after another without human interaction.
Wow, that's great. It's cool because I've actually experimented with it and done it, and it brings in, if you set it correctly, it comes out velocity. I mean, it's playable.
Yes.
Almost immediately, like boom. So
totally.
anything. So the idea is that if I have something like, let's say I had an analog synthesizer that had MIDI and audio, and I wanted to pull that into montage. I wanted to get some of those cool sounds. It's a matter of engaging Sample Robot, doing that, and then spits out the file, spits out it in montage format.
Right.
Load it into montage, and it plays.
Right, that's the idea, to make it really easy to operate and to help you. I don't know if you did sample editing in the past.
Oh, I definitely have, yeah.
Okay, so this can really be a challenge to get like even only like 10 samples right with all the chopping and everything, looping perfectly. So that's all the work you have to do normally can be done by Sample Robot on an automated level. So that
I find that the thing that was really impressive is its looping on the where you want to have that loop if you want to sustain sound, and how well it finds the zero crossings and everything, and just makes it does a brilliant job of
thank you. So
yeah, it's a great, really amazing piece of software. And for montage users, when it's released, when is it? Where how close are you to the actual release?
We're pretty close. So Superbooth was the
May 3rd and
platform.
5th,
Right. And so we're aiming for June now, early June and mid of June should be at least the release.
Cool.
time.
Yeah, it's a brilliant piece of software. So I guess to kind of close out here, the one thing I'd like to know is, do you have any other plans for any other future products other than Sample Robot? Are you kind of focused on that product?
No, we have a lot of plans,
Okay,
and I can tell you a little bit. So one obvious thing is really to have a playback device that helps you playing the samples. So that could be a future product.
Cool.
And yes, a lot of people asking, what about maybe doing format conversion?
Yeah.
And so we're aiming for creative tools, not so what you can't do at the moment might be the thing we should do next.
That's awesome. So there's plans for more products. That's great to hear. And the last thing I want to say, are you doing much music yourself now?
Yes,
are you playing and
yes, I did a gig before the opening at the Super Booth, and I'm working at the moment. I'm working on a film score for cinematic release. So
cool.
That keeps me busy.
Busy guy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for the time and everything. A really interesting, fascinating person and product. So once again, this is Christian Halton from Sample Robot. Check out. Website again is
SampleRobot.com.
That's pretty easy. SampleRobot.com. Check that out. Check out for any future products that he might be releasing on that often, I suppose. And once again, this is Christian Houghton, Sample Robot, Blake Angelos from Yamaha, Super Booth 18. Thanks a lot for watching.
Thank you, Blake.
Yeah.